Hello, everybody. How's it going? Alright, so today let's begin with the methodology literature. I'm not going to read this verbatim, but I'll slowly scroll it down and point things out for you. What this was basically about was I had to go over two studies, at least two studies, and dissect them into basically how these two studies led to me doing my study. So they're, you know, related. And it uses the same methodology, which is the Delphi method, which is something I'll be explaining soon. But there's some important information in here to go over. For right now, the Delphi method is mostly about finding a consensus among experts. And likewise, if you want to read any of this, then you're welcome to pause it. So this is important. The keywords for acceptance of peer mediation were successful outcome, cost benefit, financial performance, and organizational goals and strategies. So um, in the findings, managers wanted to know that peer mediation worked in the workplace to save time. Business management utilized about 30% of their time on conflict management. Um, and Castleberry suggested that certain employees should be trained in peer mediation to assist in conflict management, which provides growth consciously and opportunistically for the employee while assisting management. And this also builds relationships in the work environment, improving teamwork and communication abilities. Now, this is very important. Conflict in an organization roughly costs 250 million for litigation, hiring, and training. Indirect cost for organizational benefits cost 6 to 13 billion a year for absenteeism, negativity, unsatisfactory service, and low productivity. And peer mediation allowed employees to discuss, build relationships, and apparently handle conflict, saving expenses for an organization utilizing punitive punishment methods. I mean, imagine that. Punitive punishment can cost an organization $6 to $13 billion a year. I mean, to me, that's insane. I mean, right there, I mean, we should be looking for a different way to handle conflict. And now you see how that would translate into the criminal justice system. I mean, think how many people are in prison. Think how much money that goes into that. I mean, hold on. What is the actual funding for that? Okay, so let's take a look at what prisons are costing. Okay, so the total government expenses on public prisons and jails is 80.7 billion. On private prisons and jails, 3.9 billion. The growth of the justice system expenditures between those years has increased 310%. Number of companies, and so this might be old statistics. When was this? Kind of. No, these are up to date. This is a good site. So the annual cost of families of prison phone calls and commissary purchases is 2.9 billion. Damn. The percent of formerly incarcerated people who are unemployed is 27%. The average daily wage of incarcerated workers is 86 cents. The average earnings someone loses over their lifetime by being incarcerated is $500,000. So I believe this system needs to change. This doesn't include how much is um, court cost and all this other stuff and probation and all that other stuff too. Um, I believe it's probably higher than that. But man, it's just insane. We gotta do something about the prison system. Alright, getting back to the study here. So, going down. Oops, wait. I'm sorry, I should have went a little bit slower, right? Okay, here's an important part, I think. The procedural justice method in the peer mediation process needs to be fair and include transparency. Peer mediators should be trained to understand the value of privacy in the peer mediation process. The success of peer mediation occurs when managers and leaders implement the conflict resolution process as part of the culture. So the relation to the study. Okay. And then we got this guy's research. I don't know what was very important in this one. It's been a while since I looked at this. Okay, these were the top 8, and through this guy's research, these were the top 8 um, ADR techniques. Remember, ADR is alternative dispute resolution. The top one was conflict coaching, then mediation, then co-mediation, um, facilitative mediation, peer mediation, restorative justice, restorative circles, and negotiation. Okay, so next we're moving on to the research design literature, and this is where I talk about the method I'm using, the Delphi method. So I'm just gonna run through this, but while I'm running through it, I'm just gonna talk about like how I did my study. So a Delphi method consists about 3 rounds to form a consensus. Um, and mine took three rounds. A fourth round can be done if for some reason no consensus is made. Um, so basically, since it's an Delphi study, um, it was basically an electronic Delphi study, and it was done through the internet, and um, Um, and round one, I asked open-ended questions for people to explain. Then I was able to use what is called a in vivo. And what that did was it gathered the information, and it's an AI technology that basically went through everything. And I read everything too, but it went through and kind of gathered information for me to look at so that I can ask more questions in round two. In round two, it was a 66 questionnaire, 66 questions of a questionnaire, and they answered those, and then I had to calculate the results of that to figure out what themes stayed and what themes didn't stay. There was one that I eliminated, which moved on to round three, and round three was a ranking system, and the ranking system provided the end um, for a consensus of opinion. And I'll begin going through all that in chapters 4, and in chapter 5 I have a discussion about the results. Right now we're still in chapter 2, but we're getting to the end of chapter 2. This just goes over the history of the Delphi method. See, this is the one I did, was the E-Delphi method, which is similar to the classical Delphi method, except that the E-Delphi is completed strictly through electronic communication. So, there we go. See, we're at the end of chapter 2 here. So let's wrap up the conclusion. I'm going to read this verbatim. So, Plato and the Bible are the foundation for the Western perspective of justice, and the Bible recognized that punitive punishment created more negative effects. Plato in the Bible concluded that restorative justice is the method that breaks the cycle of punitive punishment. The Greeks, Romans, and England influenced the founding fathers of the USA, or influenced the founders of the USA. The mixture of these cultural philosophies allowed the U.S. to grow consciously and philosophically more than previous nations. The USA has an opportunity to embrace a new destiny that no nation has undergone, to break the cycle of punitive punishment and embrace restorative justice. The USA and the organizations within the country have not consciously evolved to embrace unitive justice, but restorative justice is a large step in that direction. Some restorative justice advocates hold onto implementing guilt and shame into the restorative process. In the background of organizations and with the development of new technologies, quantum leadership is surfacing. Quantum leadership aligns with the ideas of a unitive mind that can advance society to a unitive justice perspective. Chapter summary. The literature review focused on key events that happened in the past that have led to this opportunistic moment. Plato's search for empathy and justice has an opportunity to be a reality in organizations. The founding fathers of the USA realized that organizations and economic freedom influence the growth of a nation. Conflict resolution theory provided insights that if individuals were positive, the more likely they worked with one another for a common goal. If individuals were negative, more individuals worked against one another, creating injustices. Strategic theory supplemented conflict resolution theory in that strategy reinforces the positive aspects of conflict resolution theory, providing a strategic implementation for restorative practices. The universal model of leadership theory presented various levels of consciousness attached to the specific leadership designed for that particular level of consciousness. Recognizing and utilizing leaders to their level of consciousness helps to aid the growth of consciousness in leadership. The theory of individuation provided techniques for recognizing conflict and how to move through the conflict to improve and raise consciousness levels. The procedural justice theory provided the foundation for society's perspective of fair justice. The methodology literature reviewed two key studies that led to understanding the restorative justice process. The methodology literature reviewed Castleberry and R. Reviewing the methodology literature of Castleberry and R provided a guide on how the researcher conducted the study and revealed research that was emphasized. The research design literature provided an in-depth comprehension of the Delphi method technique. The researcher utilized the Delphi method technique to allow participants to have autonomy and objectivity to reach a consensus of opinion. In Chapter 3, the researcher elaborates on research methodology in the following categories: research method and design appropriateness, research questions, population and sample, informed consent and confidentiality, instrumentation, field test, credibility and transferability, data collection, and data analysis. So, congratulations. We have now made it to Chapter 3 on page 68. And I'll see you next week for this portion. But stay tuned. I believe Thursday or Friday. My aim is Thursday, but it may be Friday. I'm going to be talking about Saturn, the micronova, cataclysms, things of that nature. What happened in the past and why we are where we are today. And secret knowledge that has been kept hidden from us. Alright, well, y'all have a good one. Peace out and bye.